time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Corky brings us our quick tip of the week. He says, if you long hold on a lyric in Apple Music on your phone, the text message send box pops up. You can then select lyrics, and the specific place in the song will generate a text message to send, and it'll give you the little timestamp and the lyrics, and of course the name of the song and a link to Apple Music for the recipient. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1087 for Monday, April 28th, National Superhero Day 2025. Woohoo! Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in tips like that. We share them. We share your cool stuff found. We share your questions. Hopefully, we answer the questions. Really, though, we just try to provide guidance on the troubleshooting path, engineered in such a way that each of us has a fantastic shot at learning at least 5 new things every week when we get together. Our sponsors include a new sponsor, store.insta360.com, where you can use promo code MGG to bag a free invisible selfie stick when you get their new Insta360 X5 camera. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll also talk about OWC's new Gemini dual bay storage built-in dock at macsales.com and storyworth.com/MacGeekGab, where you can save $10 on your first purchase with this cool prompting thing that lets you create a book with one of your family members. I'm doing it with my dad. We'll talk about all those things in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
Ooh. And here also in New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete. Greetings, everyone. I hate to talk about 1087 because it's often used to report someone's demise. So let's move away from that quickly.
Oh, I have it as 1087 is give call letters of your station. So maybe we'll just go with that.
Okay, yeah, that's better than reporting a death.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Although Adam's Wi-Fi might be, we might certify
1087
that.
on Adam's Wi-Fi.
1087 by the end of the episode.
Oh, man, that's painful.
Sorry, it's bad.
Yep. Did we upgrade, and I use the term upgrade perhaps with air quotes, did we upgrade your Orbeez with some that I had here, but that meant you went down a notch in the number of them? Did I cause this problem, Adam?
No, I didn't swap them out because of that.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's weird that it would have gotten worse. I'm wondering why. I was going to say for no reason, but there's never no reason. We just might not know the reason.
Fair
enough. Overcast today. I don't know.
Yeah. Being overcast shouldn't matter, but I mean, we've been doing this for years.
Yeah. Get that 300 baud modem out and back it up.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it this bad.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I wonder what it is, and you've already reset everything. So, yeah. We will push through because it's what we do. Joel has our next quick tip of the week, which is, I heard your discussion about ChatGPT in the last episode while riding my motorcycle down the road. My thought was that it sure would be nice to have extensive enough tags to be able to search for things like the Bluetooth type. And then I remembered you put things like that in your show notes. When I got home, I opened ChatGPT and asked, search Mac Geek Gab for anything about Bluetooth type device types. A list of several episodes and their links, which discussed various Bluetooth topics, was returned. That's pretty good. I had not thought of that use case for ChatGPT, or that idea to prompt it that way. Thank you.
It's getting scary how good, how many use cases there are like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, man.
It's good.
Awesome.
Shall I take us next? Please.
Yeah, I'll take us to Craig. Yeah. So, well, maybe I won't. I just screwed up my screen, but I still have the quick tip. So I'll go to that and figure that out later. Thank you, Dave. Craig writes in, "Hi guys, most of us know that keyboard shortcut to do copy is Command C, and then the keyboard shortcut to do a paste is Command V. But it is always annoying when you get rich text formatting and upon pasting something into another place, especially when you copy something from a website and then paste it, and it goes in with all its wonky formatting, or maybe the size is wrong, that kind of stuff." He goes, "I certainly did not know and learned today that Command-Option-Shift-V results in a plain formatted paste. So it takes all the formatting out and just puts the text in. Perhaps this is well known, but news to me. Cheers, Craig." Craig, thanks for sending that one in. That's cool. I was not aware.
That's one I use regularly. There are times when even that doesn't work. And so I have also used Keyboard Maestro's, I think it's a built-in macro. I don't think I created it, but you could create it. I have a macro in Keyboard Maestro to type the contents of the clipboard, which is different than pasting them, and sometimes works in those web browser fields where you can't paste a password in, but you sure can have it type it in. And the action, if you will, that Keyboard Maestro leverages to do this is insert text by typing, and then for text I just put current clipboard. But yeah, so that's another one to add to that.
See, so I wanted to see something if. Nah, it doesn't. I was wondering if Command-Option-Shift-C copied it in a plain text, but I can't tell. So
no,
hey,
no, it does not. It does not.
Mind if I experiment while we do the show and see if I can?
You can tell, because if you go to the.
I was using text edit, but I'm in the dark mode, so it's not coming through.
No, but in the edit menu, when you hold down the various modifier keys, it changes. So you would see that copy does not change. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Adams, your Wi-Fi going to work for this one? Next one from Val?
We'll see, hopefully. So Val writes in and says, "Hey, Dave, Pilot Pete, and Adam. Quick tip, if you're using Apple's custom domain, you can create unlimited email aliases that all forward to your primary inbox. Just use any alias at your domain, and the messages will seamlessly arrive in your inbox."
Do either of you guys use custom domains with your Apple iCloud Mail?
I do not.
I do not.
I don't, but every other member of my, well, it's now an expanded household because they don't live here anymore. But my wife and son and daughter both, all three of them use custom domains in iCloud email, and it was super easy to set up. And yes, you can do this where you can set up a catch-all. I would caution against that because then people can just make up addresses at yourdomain.com and
you're going to get them.
And you'll get them. That's right. But I don't
have enough email, Dave. I need more.
Yeah. But you can set up specific other addresses that then would just redirect your inbox. So yeah, it's pretty good. Nice. And it's super easy to set up. Yeah, I'm really. It was one of those things when we did it. It was like, look at it, go Apple. Like, yeah, it's it's limited in functionality, but very, very straightforward to get rolling. So yeah,
I was just always using the Google. Was it Workplace? What do they call it now? I don't even know.
Google, whatever it is, apps for domains or whatever it was called.
Yeah, that's what I had always used.
You can't get, if you got that for free for your domain back when that was available, you can keep it for free for your domain, but you can't do it for new domains anymore for free. You got, everything is a fee now.
And when they threatened to make that pay, I jumped ship, particularly with my email, which actually has worked out to be good because now I've got a complete handle on my own email on my domain. So
yep.
Anyway, so how about I take us to Mike?
Please do.
Excuse me. Mike writes in. He says, "I wanted to share a quick tip for working with the downloads folders. There are 2 downloads folders, one in the iCloud folder and one in the user folder on the Mac. I prefer using the iCloud folder because it allows me to access downloads from any of my devices. I also have screen captures and temporary documents go directly to the downloads folder. When I download a file, I move it to its appropriate storage location. However, if I don't need to keep it around, I simply leave it in the folder. I know it's there for now, and it will automatically be moved to the trash in 6 weeks, which gives me enough time to deal with it if I forget to do so immediately. I have a Hazel rule that references the date added and automatically moves any files that have been in the folder for more than 6 weeks to the trash. A tip within a tip. Interestingly, my downloads folder in the user folder still appears as the default download folder with the download symbol on its icon. I've set preferences for most applications to use the iCloud folder, but occasionally something will still download to the user's folder. Do you know of a way to change this? Perhaps it's not necessary. Alternatively, I could have Hazel watch the local folder and automatically move any files to the iCloud folder, which I think is his second tip in there. That's what I did. I have Hazel move it to the iCloud downloads folder. And I will say the other thing that I do differently from Mike is I have Hazel move anything that's been longer than 30 days in my download folder to a folder I call tidy. So it doesn't trash it. I still get to review it one last time. And every now and then I've caught myself going, oh, I needed to do something else besides leave it where it was. And so I do a tidy folder, and then the tidy folder I go through periodically, once every 7 years, whether I need to or not.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I think that's his question was actually a quick tip. Yeah, have Hazel look at the local downloads folder, move it to the iCloud downloads folder, and you should be good to go. I created a mess for myself.
That's what I would do, is just let Hazel manage it, because there are going to be things that just default to your downloads folder.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm speaking slowly here because I'm processing. I'm wondering how long it would have taken me to think to do that. And it was not top of mind as you were reading his question. I'm like, how could we do that? And then when you shared his potential answer, it's like, yep, that's going to be it.
That's it. So, yeah.
Love it.
Yep. So a question and an answer all within itself.
Do you use Hazel, Adam?
I do not. No.
Oh, okay. Dude, you're missing out.
Sorry, I'm trying not to talk or move or anything.
You can move. That's fine. The video is...
Adam's frozen again. No, he's just sitting still.
as I always say, the video is recorded for the anybody who wants the voyeuristic experience of watching three guys record an audio podcast. But we do use the video on our socials and stuff. But yeah, no, it is what it is for today. We'll figure it out.
Oh man,
you want to take us to
on Hazel though? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hazel is cool.
Oh, it does so much.
Yeah. GW has one for us. It says, I love 1Password. I've never used tags. I have never used the tags since they introduced them, but I did find a little something I could use with the tag. I have all my cards, credit cards, and bank cards in 1Password. Whatever cards I have in my wallet, I use the wallet tag. A while back, I thought I lost my wallet, and I really didn't know specifically which cards I had in there at the time. So whatever cards are in my wallet, now I give them the wallet tag. So if I ever lose my wallet, I can grab my phone, open 1Password, click the wallet tag, and I know what cards to turn off. Almost all bank cards have the feature to just turn off a card and turn it back on when found without having to go through the horrible canceling process. If I add a card to my wallet, it gets that tag. And if I remove the card from my wallet, I remove the tag. Keep up the great shows, GW.
Okay, go
ahead. No, go ahead, Pete.
Oh no, I say that's a great tip. My memory isn't that good, but I always know which cards are in my wallet. But I expanded on that tip a little more, because my biggest problem with 1Password and my credit cards is when I type in American Express, it'll frequently take me to the login when I actually want the credit card number. Or if I get to the credit card number, it's the time, of course, that I wanted to go to the American Express login site. So it always takes me to the wrong one. with this tag, I can type in credit cards. It'll bring up my 3 credit cards, and I can select the one I want. Boom. So using tags within one password is more handy than I initially thought when I first saw that tip. So, but great tip.
Yeah, I like that. I keep 2 wallets. Really, I keep 3 wallets now that I think about it. The one that like MagSafes to my phone, kind of another one that fits in my pocket, and then it's my large wallet, which really is an archive. It's never in my pocket, but it's where everything else goes. And that would be an interest, because there are times when I'm like, wait, where is that stupid card? And I go through all 3 of them and I'm like tearing my hair out. I'm wondering if it's more of a headache. Yeah, if it's more of a headache to tag them in one password at once, and then I don't know. I'll have to mess with this. So yep. Great. One last quick tip from Chris, who shares something with us here. Oh yes, here it is. We talked last week about our how some of us have disappearing Finder favorites, specifically the desktop and documents folders. When they're synced to iCloud and then you put them in the favorites list in your Finder, they will, for some of us, on some of our Macs, disappear. And I've heard from lots of you. I actually had lunch yesterday with a Mac Geek Gab listener who was telling me he's got 5 Macs. He runs a consulting business, so he has a lot of different computers in different places. And it happens on like 2 of the 5 of them, and there's no rhyme or reason to why these things happen. But Chris has a solution. He says, I shook my fist at this too until I did this. Open your iCloud Drive folder, create an alias to the desktop and or documents folder as you wish. The alias will show up in the root of your home/user folder. As an optional step, rename them to whatever you want them to be, removing the word alias, and then drag that alias into the Finder's sidebar. And he points out how his aliases have not disappeared from the sidebar over time. So that might be the creative solution there. I like it, Chris. Thank you. That is, that's good stuff. Yeah, all right. I want to talk about our first sponsor because we've got a new sponsor this week, Insta360. This company is redefining what a camera can do, including their brand new flagship Insta360 X5. This thing is wild. It shoots 8K 360-degree video, has massive sensors for unreal low-light performance, and records both flat and 360-degree video at the same time if you want. So you can shoot first, frame later, kind of like a time-traveling cinematographer with AI-powered hindsight. It's waterproof to 49 feet. The lenses are user-replaceable. The battery lasts up to 185 minutes. And the invisible selfie stick gives you that impossible third-person floating drone cam look without needing an actual drone nor a license to fly one around your cat. And yes, if you're wondering, Insta360's AI tools are so good, I'm convinced one day the X5 will edit my vacation video before I even take the trip. So don't get caught filming like it's 2012. Grab the Insta360 X5 at store.insta360.com and then use our promo code MGG because the first 30 people who jump in get a free 45-inch invisible selfie stick with this, which is another $25 value. Links are, of course, in our show notes at macgeekgab.com. You can check it all out at store.insta360.com. And our thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this episupsode. All right, let's, Adam, you want to take us to Tim's question?
Here?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Tim says, hi, guys. Yesterday, I upgraded my M2 Pro Mac Mini, rather, to the latest OS, 15.4.1. And now, for some reason, when the screensaver kicks in, I need to enter my password to get back to what I was doing. It never required a password to unlock my Mac, as I'm the only person who has access to it, or I have never, rather. It's frustrating when I go to the Apple menu and hit the corner, which activates the screensaver, as you might imagine. I've gone to the lock screen and system settings and the option to change the setting to never is set to immediately and is grayed out, so I can't change it. Any suggestions to changing the setting back to what it was before my upgrade? Thanks, Tim.
So I read Tim's email and I went and looked at my phone and my Mac, and I had the same issue. My require password after screensaver begins was set to immediately and was grayed out. I found the solution, and here's the thing. I still don't understand how or why this works. So if you guys understand it as I go through it, maybe you can explain it to me, but it worked out. If you open the iPhone mirroring app on your Mac, it was set to automatically authenticate. Say that 3 times fast. And showed it grayed out. So then from the menu bar, select iPhone mirroring and settings. And if the authentication is set to authenticate automatically, change it to ask every time. And then once I did that, go back to my Mac, and immediately it was no longer grayed out. You could set it to after 5 seconds, 1 minute, 8 hours, never. Any ideas why that works?
What made you think to go to the iPhone mirroring app?
I Googled it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I'm just like, there was a huge leap of a disconnect for me.
No, I had no, me neither.
Like, I didn't think, I went back and I listened as Adam read the question, and I was like, wait, what did I miss here? Where did I zone out? Like, there was nothing. Go ahead, Adam.
So I'm looking at the screenshot that Pete put in the show notes here, and where it's grayed out, it says immediately. And this is just a good general tip. Apple, in a lot of their settings and stuff like that, you'll have the setting, right, which is in black text. So this one's require password after the screensaver begins or display is turned off. Oftentimes, if you've done something or there's a setting that's impacted by something else, right underneath in light gray text, which is harder to read, it will say things. And so in this screenshot, it says, password immediately required when iPhone mirroring is set to automatically authenticate.
That's why, Dave. That's why I knew.
There it is.
My story, and I'm stuck with it.
Yep. Okay. All right. So
that
this
answer
is just
was hidden right there in plain sight.
Okay. All right. That's great. I love it though. I learned something. Like, and you're right, Adam. It is so easy to overlook that little text that's there. Especially, you know what's interesting is you have right above that is the option, and this is in system settings on your Mac, turn display off on power adapter when inactive. And yours is set to never. And then there's similar gray text that says never letting your display turn off may shorten its lifespan and increase energy usage. But to the left of that is a yellow yield sign with an exclamation point, right? Like a little warning thing. Right. There is none of that warning thing below the where it says the password required when iPhone mirroring is set. So, like, I think there's something visual there where it's just your eye just says, "Oh, this is just their normal descriptions of things." It doesn't mean that it's good for us to ignore it, but there is a disconnect there. It's like your eye is drawn to one thing and not the other. So
right. And I cut and paste that setting text and threw it into Google, and that's where it took me to that. Hey, right go there. To here and it'll fix it. And it fixed it for me. So hopefully it fixes it for you as well, Tim.
I believe it.
But now what is the issue is, right? If you do want to use iPhone mirroring, you now have to use your Mac user password or Touch ID to access your iPhone for iPhone mirroring. Whereas with the setting the other way, you can just activate iPhone mirroring and you won't have to go the other way authentication, it sounds like.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
You just need to be aware of that if you're changing this setting.
Yep. For sure. All right. Larry asks a question that many, many, many of you have asked us. He says, I've been paying attention to the news and been hearing stories about people's phones being confiscated and searched at the airport when they're coming back into the country. And some people being thrown into detainment for the most innocuous of reasons. My wife is traveling out of the country, and she is freaked out. While she does not have the Anarchist Cookbook in her Books app, is there a way to make her journey through immigration with her iPhone and iPad as painless as possible? Can she create a secondary Apple ID and sign into that before going through immigration and customs? Fascinating question. And
we've gotten it more than once, as you say.
It's
So,
like, yeah. When it, I'll be candid. When it first came in, it was like, it's third rail. Stay away from the third rails, Dave. Don't talk about this on the show. But then the three of us talked about it. I was like, okay, well, we've gotten like 15 of these questions, so it's time. So yes, yeah. You want to start this one, Pete?
I will. And to be fair, I'm going to read my answer to Larry because I don't want to miss anything. And then we can discussion can ensue, as it usually will.
Go ahead.
So, Larry, I've been traveling for years, as you may have heard, and I understand your reluctance. To start, your last idea is a good one. Sign in with a different Apple ID, a very generalized one. And with that, it won't solve every possible issue, but it makes all your personal stuff on the real personal ID invisible. So that's, in that sense, good security. File Vault is associated with, and now I'm talking about your laptop here, obviously, as opposed to your phone, but File Vault is associated with each account on a Mac. So that's a different account would protect that first account. And while there may be some apprehension about U.S. customs and immigration, your wife's real exposure is not here, but going into other countries. There are simply no rights of privacy, et cetera, in many other countries, and traveling to them opens you up to what we would consider an invasive search and seizure, a very unlikely outcome in the U.S. without evidence and a warrant to conduct the search. Lawyers jump in here. This is my sea lawyer opinion, as we called it in the Marine Corps. This is my understanding of the law for returning to the U.S., and I've done so scores of times over the last 30 years as a passenger and returning from foreign countries. I will also state that I've never had so much as a raised eyebrow in all those times. I've faced far more intense scrutiny as a returning crew member in uniform. I've had my bag searched numerous times as a crew member in uniform, not once as a plainclothes passenger. Customs can search and seize your devices without a warrant. However, they may hold them for up to 5 days. If it's password locked, they may not compel you to provide your password. They may delay and cajole and perhaps even say that you'd be arrested, but that's a bluff technique. I know one person who was detained and faced that threat and simply said, "No, thank you. May I go now?" And Customs and Border Patrol realized they weren't getting anywhere and said that he was free to leave. I think I mentioned on the show once before that they can't even compel you to use your fingerprint to unlock the phone, as providing which is the correct finger is tantamount to providing a password. I don't use my index finger on my or my finger pad. I use another finger and the fingertip. So even if they said, hey, put your fingertip on the and this is for the iPad, obviously, which is, even those aren't
in your Mac
anymore. Yeah. And your Mac. Yeah. So the computer won't identify for instance, my index finger pad as a password. It just won't. So
sure.
And then I finish up with non-citizens face greater consequences for refusal to unlock a device, including possible denial of entry. And I hope that helps. And the other thing I'll say about that was, we've covered this tip many times before. If it's your phone, just hit volume up, volume down, and the power button, and it will lock it and require a password. I think, I don't know.
I have some simple advice here.
Yeah.
Anytime you're crossing a border into or out of the U.S., it doesn't really matter. Just turn everything off. Shut down your Mac. Turn off your watch so that your watch isn't unlocking things unnecessarily. Yeah. Shut off your phone. Shut off your iPad. Go through customs, immigration and customs.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, because at that point, the only thing that would unlock your devices is your passcode or password.
Right. Not
There's
even your face.
There's no world where your face or anything else would, because it's from power up. You must use your password or passcode. And so to me, that seems, and I haven't been through any of this, so I can't say that this will definitively work, but based on what I've seen and based on what I know, like that's what I would do going anywhere at this point or coming back, is just shut them all off. Now in the old days, I remember TSA or pre-TSA, but you know, the people that the security at the metal detectors in our airports here in the U.S. would ask me to power my laptop on many times to prove that it wasn't some kind of a bomb. But they've since their technology has gotten way, way better since then. So they don't need you to do that. But yeah. So I mean, that's where I would start with things anyway.
That's great advice. Just power it all down.
Power it all down.
And that way you're not even tempted to use your phone. No cameras allowed in immigration anyway.
Yep.
Now you're not tempted to use, take a picture and
that's off.
Get sideways with them. It's off. Yeah. And
So what do you think, Adam? Anything to add to this?
No, other than I didn't know that thing about cameras in immigration, and now I can imagine how many times just an immigration agent is picking up the phone and hits the camera button or something.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, we all do. Like, it happens. Yeah, I can't tell you how many pocket pictures I get, but that's a whole. Yeah. I'm sure there's a quick tip about that. So hopefully that helps. I realize things are like you never know until you're there, but that, turning it off.
Yeah. And Matthew Dropko points out in YouTube comment that he says, I think they have more sniffer dogs in the swabs and other techniques for laptops and devices now too. So yeah, they're, they're worried about that. They're doing a lot of stuff that they keep quiet from the general public.
Yes.
And those are the types of things as well. And then John writes, I remember going to Canada, all you had to do was wave at the border guard. Yeah, that's for us.
Those days are over.
Yeah. Gosh. Actually, going into France for us, they make us drive all the way over to the terminal, which is about a 3 or 4 mile drive. And to go through immigration on the way into the country. And occasionally the immigration agent will wave at you. But more often than not, he just nods his head to the left, like, go through, don't bother me. I'm busy sleeping. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, really? Yeah. We drive all the way over here for this?
The last time I drove to Canada, we were driving like across the border. The way the GPS brought us, we were going to Montreal, and we were driving across the border, right where the New York, where New York, Vermont, and Canada's borders all meet, right there. Right. And I had remembered during COVID lockdowns, the four of us had gone to a place right there in New York on the border. Obviously, we couldn't cross into Canada because that border was closed. But as we were getting close to that, this was just like last year or something. So it's obviously we could cross there. But, we spent like a week at this Airbnb right on the lake there, and it was gorgeous. But I was really curious to cross that border that we were not allowed to cross back in the summer of 2020. And so I kind of routed us to this very small border crossing. And of course, it was open. And so we went to it. And the guy at the border was like, why are you using this border? Where are you? Where's home for you? Like New Hampshire. We'd already given them like passports and stuff, but they ask questions. I'm like, yeah, New Hampshire. Why are you using this border? This border crossing's only for locals. You shouldn't be using this. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, it's fine. Like I just said, oh, the GPS brought me here, which sort of it did after I positioned it right near it. And he was like, well, but yeah, you should use the big one on the highway because this one could be closed. Like, yeah, but it's not. Like, you're here, I'm here. Like, we're like, we can pull up a lot of straw men if you'd like, but otherwise, I'm just going to drive across unless there's some reason I can't, But I didn't say any of that to him, obviously. But this is what's going through my head. Like, okay, like I'm sorry I woke you up. It's really what it was. Like, he was very much not expecting to have to deal with what effectively amounted to, and correctly, tourist traffic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, yeah, man, it's all good. Like it's all fine. We're all fine here now. Yeah. So yeah. All right. We have more questions. I'm excited to talk about our second sponsor because let me start this way. I remember the time years ago, my mom told me about one summer, long before I existed, where she drove across the country to San Francisco and had all these adventures in her little car. And those kinds of things, when they just kind of come out, don't you think, how many stories like this are there just floating around that I don't know about that are waiting to be saved? Well, that's where our sponsor Storyworth comes in. Each week, Storyworth emails a thoughtful question to someone you love, your mom, your grandma, your favorite mystery uncle, whatever, right? And they simply write back. At the end of the year, all those memories are turned into a beautiful keepsake book. I've actually been using Storyworth with my dad, and it's so cool. Not only do you get to choose the prompts and guide that, right? You control the order in which the questions and prompts are asked. So you're actually there helping craft your family's narrative without needing to be the one that's actually doing all of the hard work there. So if you're looking for something that's way better than another candle or scarf, give all the moms in your life a unique, heartfelt gift you'll all cherish for years. Storyworth. Right now, save $10 on your first purchase when you go to storyworth.com/MacGeekGab. That's storyworth.com/MacGeekGab to save $10 on your first purchase. And our thanks to Storyworth for sponsoring this episode. All right. You want to take us to Chris now, Pete?
I do.
Are you sure you
there
do?
It is.
Pete?
Okay, so yeah,
are you signing up for Storyworth or something there?
I was. I should have been because that sounds really cool. That looks like fun. So I can just read the note right there in show notes and know what do you do? What apps do you use to produce and record your podcast? Is there more for me to read, or should I kick it off from there? Because I wasn't on Chris's note.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, that's fine. He asked, what is this? I heard you say on a recent episode that you use Audio Hijack to record MGG. What other software tools do you use to finish and package the show? Yeah. How does StreamYard fit in? Is that just for the live stream, or is there something else? Do you still do isolated recordings at each of your ends? He says, I'm asking because I recently set up someone for podcasting using Audacity, and it's being quirky for them, and they want something smoother and more polished.
There you go. Okay, thanks for catching that.
Yeah, of course.
Somehow I wasn't ready.
Oh, Adam,
my apologies.
I'm
ready for my answer. I just wasn't ready to read Chris's question.
You were going to ask. Adam and I were going to start the answer. So
there you go. Okay. Well, you've now asked Adam. You're up. I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah, we
now.
all three do podcasts, so we all kind of have our own workflows. So go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends. I mean, for me, it always depended on what I was doing. So when I did my podcast for 19 years, it was a solo podcast. So I was the only person that did it. So I did everything in GarageBand from the very beginning. That's recording, editing, producing, all of that stuff. And then I would just export that. The other thing that I would use on the other end would be, because I did chapters and stuff like that, I used another product from Rogue Amoeba called Fission, which is a audio editor app that also will generate chapters in AAC and MP3 format. And it's the thing about it is it's how do you say this? It's an editor where you can edit like an MP3 and it won't have to transcode it or anything like that. It takes whatever raw audio you have, whatever format, and you can edit in that format. Clip and edit. You don't have to do any transposing, but then you can export out into other formats. But as you're editing, it's just straight editing the audio file, which is great. So did that. And then now that I'm doing a podcast with my daughter and she's remote, the only other piece of software, we're using Audio Hijack to record that audio so that I can get her on one side and myself on another. So, I get distinct audio recordings on my end, and we don't do separate on each other's end. And then we record in Discord. I capture Discord versus capturing something like, say, StreamYard.
Yep. We used for a long we used a lot of things over the years for Mac Geek Gab. The first thing that we used to connect us, because we were always a remote show, right? Maybe the first trial episode John and I might have done in person in my house in Connecticut. I can't remember, but we knew that I was going to be moving to New Hampshire, and that was kind of one of the sort of catalysts to doing the show the way we did it, was so that John and I had an opportunity to still talk every week, even though I was moving away. And so my brother and I did a ton of testing of the VoIP engines that were available. And this is almost probably exactly 25 years ago, as we were kind of 20 years ago, not 25, 20 years ago, as we were, kind of figuring out what to use. And at the time, we realized that Skype was the best one. Over time, we moved to different engines, and of the audio only engines, Discord was the most recent one we used before we moved to StreamYard. Discord's got great audio quality, low latency. It doesn't do any funny. You can turn off its funny processing if you want, all of that good stuff. But nowadays we use StreamYard. Yes. The StreamYard does two things for us. It allows us, it is the VoIP engine, right? So it is the thing that is connecting us, both voice and video. We do record video and therefore audio with StreamYard that we release to our YouTube channel. So the audio you hear on the YouTube channel is the audio, the raw, I call it raw audio from StreamYard. The audio that you hear on the RSS feed, the audio only feed, is audio that I process locally here. Because StreamYard, if you've ever joined the live stream, you get to hear us spend 5 minutes getting our levels right in StreamYard, because it's maddening. But anyway, I digress. But audio, yes. To answer the question that was asked, Audio Hijack is the app that I still use to record the end result audio here. So the audio that you're hearing is a stereo track that I am actively recording in Audio Hijack, and then I run it through a service called Auphonic that smooths it out a little bit, and then that's what you get. We record to lossless. I think we record to FLAC these days, but it's some lossless format. I've kind of jumped around to different ones, but I think right now I'm using FLAC, and then that's converted to MP3 by Auphonic, and off to the races. I mix now. All of that, everything we've talked about so far, is the kind of thing that I would recommend to other people to do. Recording with Audio Hijack, using StreamYard even for what it does, or Discord, using Fission to do your chapters. We also, I use an app called Farrago to do like the theme music and things. It's like it's a new app that replicates the old cart system idea, right? So when we play the magical bell, I hit a button and it plays the bell. Pete has the same thing on his end. I am mixing the show live here. I said I'm recording a stereo MP3. Pete, I wish I could have all three of us in different spaces, but StreamYard doesn't give me separate sends for you guys. So I have Pete and Adam slightly panned to the right, me slightly panned to the left, just to give the show some space. I have a mixer here. I use an app called SoundDesk that I route everything through so that I can mix it live. And I have an external, like, physical control surface that I can use to, bring my level down and up and all that stuff. I promise not to do that again. And yeah, so, but that's like super extra, mixing it live and doing all that. I do it because I'm a lazy podcaster and I don't want to have to do a lot of post-production. So I know that's not true, but it's right. Perfect for it's a perfect way to frame this discussion. So what did I miss that you do, Pete?
Well, so I too use StreamYard. The advantage, so I don't mix it live like Dave does, but the advantage of StreamYard to me is that it will record audio locally and then upload it. So when Adam's Wi-Fi is cruddy, it's putting his sound directly from his microphone onto his hard drive and then uploading the pure sound to StreamYard. And I'm able to download 3 audio tracks, my co-host, our guest, and myself. And then when I speak over Fig, which almost never happens, or he speaks over me, which happens all the time, I'm able to then go in to, I use Hindenburg to edit the show, which is similar to GarageBand, but I think more granular in its abilities. I can pull down the audio from me speaking over Fig. And then you can hear his brilliant point without my voice in there ruining it for everybody. So, and I don't do a lot of that. If I know there's a problem there or something happens, I'll mark down where in the show that happens. The other thing I do, which is similar to you, Dave, because I want to chapterize my show, I do start a timer at the beginning of the show. Yeah. So that I can mark when something happens in the show. I just hit Control, Option, Command, Space, and that throws a time into the show mark into my notes so I can then go back and find it. But I take that Hindenburg, I export it as a singular wave file, and I also use Auphonic. It sends it up to Auphonic. Was it Levelator that used to happen? Auphonic does it. It does it beautifully. You can see where someone's audio is low and someone's is high, or a sponsor's ad read is low. It pulls it up and makes it all even so someone isn't going crazy trying to adjust their volume throughout the show. Yeah. And then gives us the MP3 file. Auphonic will also automatically, if you ask it to, chapterize your show. I let it go ahead and do that. And then I use Fission to go in and either put in chapters or take out chapters. The other beauty of Fission is you can drag. We have a lot of photos from our guests. And so if he's talking about flying a Phantom in Vietnam, I'll take a photo that he sent me of a Phantom and I'll put it in that chapter right there in Fission. You just drop it right into there. And so as someone's looking on their phone or their iPad, listening to the show, or even your CarPlay, it'll come up, it'll put that photo up.
Pete is not a lazy podcaster. That's the difference between a lazy podcaster, me, and Pete. So there you go.
Well, I'm trying to get more lazy, and then the other thing is I'm working on it. I think I'm going to stop.
Well, no, my lazy podcaster workflow came, and it's also 20 years old. It was a function of necessity.
We've got 3 shows too now. So.
Well, I only had one then, but I always have lots of things going on, and I know that the most important thing about having success with a podcast. And I somehow was fortunate enough to realize this before I ever had a podcast. The most important thing is consistent schedule of releases. Yeah. If people are relying on getting this show every Monday, I want to make sure I have this show ready for you every single Monday. And I know what a perfectionist I can be. I know how much I enjoy tweaking and messing with things. That's not going to come as a great surprise to anybody listening to this show. And so I knew that if I gave myself permission and opportunity to do anything after I finished recording the show, it would take days or weeks for any episode to make it out. And so my whole workflow is I don't get up from this chair until the show is published and I can wipe my hands of it and walk away. Right. Nowadays, it used to be 15 minutes. Nowadays, because we do video and we have other things and all this stuff, it's closer to like 45 minutes to an hour. I can sometimes do 30 minutes, but it's still like I will not get out of this chair. And sometimes it's really bad because I got to like pee when we finish the show. It's like, no, I'm just going to do it anyway. But because I know as soon as I get up, I'm going to get like, oh, I should do that other thing. And like, it's not good. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah.
The only thing I don't know, and we're talking about, the StreamYard's pricing is going through the roof, so I'm looking hard at Riverside. I don't know, but I think I can do local audio from them as well. So
you can. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So that's the most important thing to me, that if I have a guest with bad internet, I'm still going to get good audio from them. So
now
Riverside saved our bacon a couple times in the last few weeks.
Riverside looks, we may move to it when our StreamYard license is up this year too. I've been playing around with it. So that's another option. You mentioned, Pete, that you hit a keystroke to you start a timer and hit a keystroke for your chapters. I put a link in the show notes to an article that I wrote years ago at Mac Observer teaching you how to do what Pete's talking about.
Yeah,
so
the keyboard maestro stroke.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, and there's screenshots and everything you might need. So
it is so nice. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that before we move on to the next thing, Adam?
No, just that I wasn't a lazy podcaster. I had an artisanal, handcrafted podcast, I always used to like to say. All the way down to, and this is the other side of it, I think, is actually getting the show out, the feed. I used an app, and till the very end, called Feeder to do my feed, which I actually built the feed by hand, because I started that way. I started writing XML, was how you had to do it when I first started in 2004. There was no even tools for that. You would literally write code to get your RSS feed out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Feeder was created by Steve Harris, great developer in the UK, and changed my life. And I used that till the very end. So I would handcraft my XML feed and upload it, FTP, update it every time. Now the new show, we just use the WordPress plugin PowerPress from Blueberry.
I'm glad you mentioned PowerPress, because that is a huge key to making all of this work inside of WordPress. We publish with WordPress. It builds the feed. It without PowerPress. Well, without PowerPress, we built at Mac Observer, I think up until we sold it, we were using a custom engine that you built, Adam, to generate the RSS feeds. Yeah, that's right. So they weren't artisanally handcrafted, but the code that created them was artisanally handcrafted by you. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well,
Dave, I got a question.
Yeah, man.
That comes up then. So let's say you're out at your fire pit or your hot tub in the back. How do you listen to podcasts out there? I mean, how do you get Wi-Fi service out there?
Yeah, so my Pete's, I know where Pete's going because he saw my posts from this weekend. No, our property is graded, so our patio in the back is a full story lower than our front door, which means that our patio in the back comes out from our basement, and our basement is, surrounded by the foundation of the house, which is primarily cement, probably with lots of rebar in there, I would assume, or something else that effectively creates a Faraday cage. And getting Wi-Fi out to our patio has been a real trick over the years. The best I'd been able to do was, we have a bay window that hangs right over the patio, and I put an Eero Pro 7 in the bay window, and it mostly works. But I was out there on Sunday, and I was on my phone or whatever. Maybe I was on my laptop or whatever. I had the fire pit going. I was waking up, and I was like, gosh, I can tell that like the Wi-Fi is being flaky. I was like, wait a minute. I have an Eero Outdoor 7 that they sent me in January when we were talking about it as part of the CES sponsorship coverage that they did for us. I'm like, all right, I guess I should take a look at that thing. I've got like an hour. I'll see what it's going to take to get this thing installed. From the moment of having that germ of a thought to then deciding, yes, I'm going to do this, walking across the driveway to the office, finding the box for this thing that had been sitting in my office since January, and then eventually sitting back down on the patio after all was set up and ready to go, was less than 10 minutes. This thing was so easy to install. It was ridiculous. I used a screwdriver. I drilled no holes in my house. We have vinyl siding on our house. It came with all kinds of like ways of connecting it to mounting it to the outside of your home. But it had, one of the ways is these clips that are built for vinyl siding. And it just like, it really, when I say it took me 10 minutes, I'm probably overstating it. It was probably about 6 to get this thing up and running. Now, I am running it with wireless backhaul. I plugged it into an outdoor outlet, and it's working fine. I'm getting like 300 megabits per second out on the patio in both directions, which is great. No complaints about that. It is its backhaul is being fed by that unit in the bay window, which is Etherneted into my network. What I want to do is run an Ethernet cable from inside the house out, over which I will run, of course, the network, but also power over Ethernet, so that I have one cable to this thing that will power it entirely. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this thing. I just got to figure out how best to get that cable out from the house. I have some ideas. That will take me some time. But using it with wireless backhaul, it's great. Like it works amazingly well. I'm just astounded. So that's how I do it, Pete.
Are you going to have to drill through concrete to put a cable through, or
no?
Okay.
There is. I mean, I could. That's one way, but there are already some holes in the concrete. I might have my whole network closet in the playroom / basement area there, and there's coax, phone, and fiber, 2 fiber lines, in fact, coming in there. So I can probably snake alongside one of those.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So that it's just going to take some work, primarily because we had the electric company came out last summer and paid somebody to like seal off all the cold air inputs into our house. And I realized they put a metric buttload of spray foam right where all that stuff comes in. And it's like, oh man, this used to be so easy. Yep.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's fine. So I'll figure it out.
Maybe this is my solution to my problem that we're having right now.
Maybe. Yeah.
Rather than burying an Ethernet cable.
Putting something
Get an
outside.
outdoor Orbi satellite. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I actually, right where my router is, there already is a hole because the previous owner ran Ethernet really badly. It basically comes out of the wall. He ran it up the thing and across the roof and then down the other side of the house and then into the other wall. It's all outside. It's all outdoor, not protected Ethernet. There's no way I was ever going to use it. It's just a bare Ethernet cable running across my flat roof.
Oh, you could use that. I would use that. I mean, I have that direct burial cable between the house and the office. We were talking about this pre-show. I definitely have Ethernet surge protectors on either end of it. People that have listened to the show long enough understand my learnings with Lightning. But that cable, it's a direct burial cable. It's 25 years old, and I pass 2.5 gig Ethernet over it like it's nothing. And I'm knocking on wood. Yes. But yeah. So I would trust that thing that runs across your roof for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't really need it because the Wi-Fi.
You don't need it.
Is fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But for my office, see, the thing is, I have line of sight from that corner of my office straight to where that would sit. So I'm wondering if I just got 2 satellites, one right outside my office, and wired that into my system in here. Or I might not even have to do that. It might even be good enough to come through the wall and direct line of sight to the house. Maybe that'll solve my.
That would rock for you, for sure. I almost certainly yes, yeah. Line of sight Wi-Fi is killer. Yeah. I know you have one of these too. These eero Outdoor 7s to set up, Pete, and you were talking about running an Ethernet cable to it. If you want to do that, that cable would need power over Ethernet. Now, there's 2 ways to get that. One is if your switch that you're plugging it into supports power over Ethernet, and then you're fine. You just plug it into
I got to go look. Yeah.
Plug it into one of the PoE Plus ports, and you're good to go.
Okay.
Or they make things called PoE injectors, and you plug that into your switch and also that into the wall so that it gets power. And then you plug your Ethernet cable into the other end of the PoE injector, and now it's injecting power into this already existing Ethernet cable, and you're good to go. So those are your options. Yeah.
Does my Eero 6 support PoE? Would it push power out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Eero 6E is what you are running. You're running Eero Pro 6Es. I'm looking at the website now to see if their specs support PoE Plus. I don't think they do, Pete.
Yeah. It wouldn't seem that they, I was just, you can hope against hope for these things.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not seeing it here. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazon Eero Pro PoE powered high speed PoE Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah, you would need to get a PoE injector for this.
So folks, how is watching paint dry going for you today?
That's what it's like. Yep. But that's what you would need. Yeah. And I've done that over the years, used PoE injectors for power over Ethernet powered things.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay.
I have a switch in my attic that is kind of the linchpin to my whole network working. It is because all the cable kind of goes up there. It links the office and 2 parts of the house. And so I don't want a power flicker to cause that switch to reset, right? So I want that switch on a UPS, but it's my attic. I don't want to put a battery in the attic in the summer when it gets up to be 100 and whatever up there. So I feed that with a PoE. It is a PoE switch. I'm using the UniFi, whatever their 5-port switch is that can be powered over PoE. They're hard to find, but they're not anymore now that UniFi came out with it. I'll put a link in the show notes to it. Okay. But that switch is powered by a UPS that's down in the more climate-controlled area of the house. So, yeah. What's it called? Gosh, they call it the Switch Flex Mini 2.5G. And I will put a link. It's $50, which is awesome.
That's not much.
But it does not. It does not push PoE out. It only takes it in, just so that you're. Yep. So, all right. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But because we love cool stuff found here, I want to tell you about our next sponsor because, well, you all know that I rely on OWC hardware to do my job. If I look in front of me here in the studio, it's kind of like I have a shrine to their docks and drives, and they've got a new thing called the OWC Gemini. This is a dual drive RAID storage solution and a Thunderbolt dock rolled into one beautifully built box. We're talking up to 36 terabytes of storage, and multiple Thunderbolt ports, USB, DisplayPort, 2.5 gig Ethernet, basically everything you need to turn your Mac into a media-crunching, backup-loving, port-packed workstation. You can even connect an 8K display, plug in your accessories, and charge your laptop all from one box. It's RAID-ready, like I said, so you get the speed and redundancy you want for your data. And, of course, knowing OWC, it's built like a tank and runs quieter than a cat sneaking past a laser tripwire. If you need serious storage and connectivity, the Gemini is the way to go. Don't get caught daisy-chaining chaos. Check out the OWC Gemini now at MacSales.com. You're going to wonder how you lived without it. And our thanks to OWC for sponsoring this episode. All right. Do we want to do cool stuff found, or should we answer more questions? Adam, you have a choice? Well, we got we got about 10 minutes left. So, yeah.
I think we should do some cool stuff found, probably.
Okay. The first one that I have is from this sort of fits with our podcasting workflow stuff. Waves just announced a free plugin pack that includes 9 plugins. I thought it was 7. I think it might have been 7 when they initially announced it. But now it's up to 9 plugins that include a tube distortion. And just in case you think you don't need tube distortion, I am using tube distortion right now on this show because we humans find harmonic distortion pleasing, up to like 20%. Yeah. So I use a little bit of tube distortion to kind of glue everything together and make it sound nice. So it's got a tube distortion. It's got a great little compressor. It's got an EQ. It's got a reverb unit, all kinds of great stuff. And it's literally free. So there's a link in the show notes to that. If you use plugins at all for your audio, this would work with Logic. It's an audio unit, so it would work with GarageBand. Of course, it works with all the other DAWs that are out there too. So go get this. You will save a bunch of money because it's literally free. So yeah, that's my first one for today.
Nice.
Do you guys have anything, or am I just rolling on this? I think I'm rolling on this.
I think you got to roll because I could do one, but I wouldn't do it justice. Go ahead.
I can go with my snacks.
What are your snacks, Adam?
I love these things. Chomps.
What are they called?
Grass-fed.
Chomps.
Chomps. Grass-fed, grass-finished, no nitrates, no sugar added beef sticks. Keep them back there.
All right.
And actually get them from Thrive Market.
Amazing.
I could have used that this morning. My stomach was growling pre-show, and I'm like, I got to go eat, or I won't make it through the show.
That sounds delicious. Yeah. I want that now. Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah. I don't have anything as great as beef sticks for the next one on my list, but I do have something interesting called Barbee. It is a menu, Mac menu bar manager. It is an alternative to like the Bartender that was sold last year, and there were a bunch of questions about who owns it and who's catching our data and capturing our screens and all that stuff these days. So Barbee is another one of these menu bar managers that allows you to choose what things appear on your menu bar and what appear below it, so that you're not driving yourself nuts. I have not tried Barbee yet, but I know a lot of folks in our Mac Geek Gab community have. So
So it looks like it's free, but has in-app purchases. Is that?
Yeah.
So what would you purchase? Interesting. I'm not seeing any pricing on it. No.
Yeah, I don't know what the in-app purchases are. It's not clear here. So
yeah, it just says free, offers in-app purchases. So it must be some expanded functionality. But
I thought the App Store made people tell us what those were, but it doesn't. So there you go. Yep. So yeah, that's Barbee. And then another one that I found recently is an app called Landmarks. This is very specific, but we're coming up on travel season here. It is an app to discover New York City's architectural landmarks. And you put it on your phone, and then that's kind of how it works. It shows you pictures and details and all kinds of fun things. So if you're traveling to New York this summer, check out the Landmarks app. Yeah. And it's available for iPhone and iPad, and also they allow it to run on your Mac if you want it to. So, something fun stuff, right? It's good.
very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have one, Pete?
Well, I lost my place on it, but it looks like, so the Barbee, the extra stuff that you can pay for is unlimited number of times you can show and hide icons, support the menu bar with a notch, manage menu bar icon spacing, backup, cloud backup and sync profiles, supercharge your scripts with shortcuts in Barbee and various appearance styles. So it looks like it's perfectly functional.
Yeah,
but gets better with money, as many things do.
That's kind of how things go.
Yeah, and then the other one, this is kind of an obvious one. Many people know about it already. I'll just offer is Flightaware, Flightaware.com. If you want to track somebody's inbound flight or see if their flight is on time, that sort of thing, go to Flightaware. It shows them deviating around weather. It shows all kinds of what's called ADS-B. And I use it to say, hey, what's that C-17 flying over my house right now? Where's that out of? Where's that going?
Yeah.
Now, military, generally speaking, doesn't advertise where they're going. That ADS-B data is hidden. But FlightAware.com is cool tracking to tell where somebody really is.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Cool. My next one is I mentioned this. A different pair of SonoFlow headphones earlier this year that I used for some travel. and I just got a chance to check out a different pair, the HQ31 from One More. They call them the SonoFlow SEs. These headphones are $40, $39.99. In fact,
Whoa.
$39. Yep, they are noise canceling. High res audio. You can connect them via USB-C or, of course, Bluetooth. Super comfortable, long battery life, 40 millimeter drivers. They sound great. They've got three noise canceling modes if you count off. They have noise canceling, transparency, and then off. But you can turn the noise canceling off if you want to just use whatever the headphones are, whatever sort of passive noise canceling they provide. But I'm amazed at what the folks at One More are able to do for the prices that they're able to do it for. 90 hours of playtime. They have an app that you can tweak it and use EQs and like all kinds of things. It's awesome. I'm really impressed with them. These showed up at the house
exactly like the headphones we got my son for Christmas that were almost precisely 10 times more expensive.
Right. That's correct. Yeah, and they sound really good.
That's just awesome.
Yeah, they showed up and I tested them in the kitchen and let Lisa try them. She's like, "Wow, these are really nice." She's like, "Can I take these?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Wait, you don't want them?" I'm like, "No, but only because I have the other pair they just sent me." Like, these are the ones that I leave. Oh, not these, but they would be the ones that I leave in my travel bag. And Lisa used them for a walk around the neighborhood the other day and with the dog, and put them in transparency mode. And yeah, it's great.
They look really nice.
They are really nice
for $40. Wow.
I know. They come in a bunch of different colors.
Do they have a microphone in them? Can you talk on the phone?
Yeah, they're noise canceling. So
of course they have a microphone. Duh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I know. It's nutso, man. I love it. So
and the price of tech down. Bring it down.
Go ahead, Adam.
One more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So actually, I just thought of this because this came out with a new game, and my wife's now addicted to it. Apple has a Apple Arcade game called Game Room. So if you have Apple Arcade, obviously it's free, ad free, all that fun stuff, and it's just a collection of like board games that you can play on all of your Apple devices. So iPhone, iPad, Apple Vision Pro. And so it has like Yacht, which is Yahtzee, Solitaire, chess, backgammon. They just added one called WordWrite that is a daily like word game, and you try and get best score each day, and it changes each day. And that's the one she's now addicted to. They have one called Sea Battle. And they have Flip It. So Sea Battle is Battleship. Flip It is Othello. And they're multiplayer, so you can play over,
wow.
Apple's,
Game Center.
It goes through Game Center, but they're like interactive where you can like FaceTime and game each other.
Oh, share play.
Share play. And then on the Vision Pro, you can have your virtual avatar and play against other people in the Vision Pro. The Vision Pro puts an actual table obviously in your room, and you're playing on a table, whereas the UI on iOS or iPhone or iPad is more straightforward.
Yeah, standard. Yeah. Wow.
I have not played anybody on Vision Pro yet, but I do hear we have a friend who plays quite frequently, and I'm supposed to play a game with him at some point. So
that's amazing. Amazing. Yeah. I wanted to add one thing to your Flightaware mention, Pete.
Yeah.
And that is, it's great to track other people's flights. I also find it super handy for tracking flights I am flying on, commercial flights.
Yes. Yeah.
And I use their app. You can have an account for free. And I think with the free account, you can have up to 5 notifications, 5 flights queued up at any point in time for notifications. So when I know I'm traveling somewhere, I will add my flights in, and I'll tell it that I'm meeting someone on the plane. And that's just because I want all the notifications. I don't want just some of them. but you get a notification when the flight plan is filed. You get a notification when the plane lands, and all those things. Without it, traveling, I kind of lost my mind during Q1 with all the travel I had anyway. But Flightaware definitely made it better. So. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Do we have time for one more?
Quickly, go.
Quickly. Okay, so this segues off of Adam's, which is Game Pigeon. It's available in the App Store for iOS. And Game Pigeon essentially attaches onto the bottom of your iMessage. And it's got basketball, archery, word games, crazy eights, paintball, chess, all that kind of stuff. But you play it against somebody else over iMessage, over messages.
Huh. Yeah.
So yeah, it's my daughter and I play Game Pigeon games all the time. So,
oh, that's brilliant. It's an iMessage extension.
Yeah, and so the way you get to it once you install it is you hit that little plus next to the message you want to send, and you scroll down until you see Game Pigeon, and you tap on Game Pigeon, and then you choose which game you want to play. It looks like there's
amazing
5, 10, 15, 20. Looks like there's 28 to choose from.
Love that.
So yeah, a little fun messaging across.
Is it free? Do you know, or is it paid?
I believe it is free. I'm 94.3% sure it's free.
Amazing.
But I will check right now.
Yeah, it's free. Offers in-app purchases, which is not necessarily clear. Yeah,
what
exactly.
Does that mean?
We're here again, Pete. Yeah.
Oh, don't make it do that. Make it
very
stop.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was an efficient tear through cool stuff found. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them in 10 minutes.
Nice.
Huh. Look at us go.
And now the band is here, right on time.
Band's here. Yeah. Love that. Oh, what happened here? Oh, never mind. Okay. I thought my agenda got all screwed up. It did not. Everything's good. Nothing to worry about. Oh, guys, I forgot to press record, though. So
okay, let's do it again.
Do you have time to do it again? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. This has been a blast. Thanks for your Wi-Fi was mostly, I was going to say thanks for dealing with Adam's Wi-Fi, but considering other Wi-Fi issues we've had in recent months, this was smooth sailing, man. Right. It's pretty good.
It got better for some reason.
It did.
As we went on. So
it's supposed to like self-heal and all that stuff. Yeah. So
it's not dead yet.
Not dead yet.
It got better.
Thanks to CashFly for providing all of the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Thanks to the folks at MacPaw for providing 5 copies of Clean My Mac to give away to all of you. I know the day this episode comes out still leaves us with a few days left in April for that giveaway. And while I don't want to spoil the surprise entirely of what's coming in May, I will say that it is something that we talked about in this episode at the, let me look at the chapters so that you can know. Where am I here? During it wasn't during the Cool Stuff Found section, but it sure was Cool Stuff Found. At the 52-minute mark, we talked about what's going to be given away in May. And so you're going to want to check that out. And, of course, we'll talk about it all month. But MacGeekGab.com/giveaway is where you find all of that. In the meantime, make sure to go check out the debut film podcast that Adam does, the So There I Was podcast that Pete does, and Geek Gab and Business Brain podcasts that I do. Thanks for hanging out with us. And check out our merch store, MacGeekGab.com/merch, because we have some fun stuff. We have hats now. We've got hats and shirts, and all kinds of things. Jawohl. You wore your shirt today, Pete. Speaking of.
I did.
Adam, does your Wi-Fi let you see what Pete's shirt says?
It certainly does. And like my Wi-Fi, the advice would be don't get caught with bad Wi-Fi or anything else.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Thanks for hanging out, folks. Later.
See ya.